Satnam, yogis and yoginis, hello, welcome back. Welcome back after Christmas, after the holiday that many people celebrate. We are still very close. So what we are going to be seeing today, we're going to talk about the life cycle of a thought. What happens with a thought? When we think it, what happens with it? What is the effect that it has on us? And there is a whole life cycle in a way. There's a whole life to it. There's a whole like being born and then developing and then dying, but leaving some offspring behind somehow, kind of. And that's going to have. So we're going to see how the thought has an effect on our physical and emotional body as well, and how that manifests outside of us. So let's go into that. A thought, but first of all, when we think a thought, is that our thought? Is that really our thoughts, or are we picking it up? So there is this idea that the mind is very much like a radio, and like a radio antenna in a way, yeah? It's like a radio. So it has its own antenna, and the antennas are both for receiving and for emitting. But a lot of the time we are receiving and we don't even notice that we are receiving. So when we are hearing some sound or music in that radio, we think it is us thinking that thought, but is that thought ours, or did we just pick it up from the environment? So by walking in the underground, or being in the bus, or driving your car, or walking in the street, when we are surrounded by people and their thought fields, our antennas, our hair, is picking up these radio waves, these thought waves that are around us. When whatever people around us are thinking, that's going to be having an effect on us. So if we are in an environment where there is a lot of anger, and those angry waves, and it's not just the motion in the environment, it's not just the energy that is charged with that anger, but it's also thoughts, like thought waves, vibrating, and then we pick them up and we start having angry thoughts. And then because we identify so much with what the thoughts are saying, then we think we are angry. We think we are angry. But then by thinking it, we make it so. We make it happen, because thoughts are very powerful, and we will see today what happens when you produce a thought, and when we catch a thought, and then that becomes eventually that anger that we are thinking about. The same way, if we are surrounded by an environment which is very loving, Christmas season, a lot of holidays, people are happy, they are playing Christmas carols or whatever you play in your city. And then there's this happiness. And then the thoughts are more elevated. And somehow when we are immersed into those thoughts, then we also have that vibration with them, no? And then we receive, we think those thoughts. And then that also has an effect on us. Namaskaram, Web Darkin. Hello and welcome to the stream. I haven't seen your name around here before, I think. Where are you from? Tell me, have you celebrated Christmas? And how is your relationship to your mind? How is it going? Welcome to the stream. So let's say our antenna is both for receiving and for emitting. What happens is that when we are catching one of these thoughts, the thing is we can choose whether we want to allow it to develop in our mind, or we can cut it and not develop it. And if we don't consciously choose that, then our subconscious, if we don't do it consciously, our subconscious chooses for us, which means that the thought is going to be nurtured by whatever is in our subconscious. And generally, we have a pretty dirty subconscious, unless we work on ourselves and we meditate and do all the things that we need to do that help us to deal with the subconscious. Generally, the subconscious is also quite filled with garbage. And then if if a drama thought, if a dark thought, if a garbage thought comes around us and we pick it up with our antenna, then the subconscious is going to pick it up and is going to develop it, is going to nurture it, and is going to let it develop. Bangalore, Christmas, no, working to get myself a job, hard times. Oh dear. Well, Bangalore, welcome. And no Christmas, but maybe New Year, you celebrate somehow? Is there some particular celebration for this season for you in Bangalore? Working to get yourself a job. Yeah, indeed. That's struggling, yeah? So many people are struggling right now, and we need to reinvent or rediscover ourselves and how we can put our own capacities and our skills and our gifts to best use, no? To move forward. Myself, creating this YouTube channel and starting posting videos is a way to rediscover myself and adapting to the new times that we are living. And yeah, hard times indeed. But so let me just do this thought. Let me just take this thought for a minute. Because when we are in easy times, when everything is easy, when it's not difficult to find a job, when life is, the worrying aspect of life is that it becomes too boring, right? Because nothing really happens. Then in those times, because life is easier, it's also easier to deal with life. So it's also easier to deal with our thoughts about life, yeah? Now, when life is hard, when we are living hard times, then the challenge to deal with the thoughts at that time, it's higher. It's a bigger challenge, which means also that if you manage to get a grip of on yourself and your mind, like in the Japji says, conquer your mind and you conquer the world, right? Manjite Jagjit, it says, no, conquer the mind and you conquer the world. It's not about being a world conqueror. It's about being a mind conqueror. Can we conquer our ego, our mind? But if we can do that in these times, in hard times, then it's like a much greater reward in a way, no? And the amount of karma that we can clean during hard times is much bigger than the amount of karma that we can clean during easy times. So, when hard times come, we can take it like that. We can say, well, okay, more cleaning. Let's go. Let's deal with it. When a crisis comes, all right, this is an opportunity. Can we deal with the crisis in an elevated and graceful way? Let's deal with that, right? But but having said all that at the same time, when you don't have enough money to put food on your table, then that, forget about yoga, forget about meditation, go find a job, right? Because that's more pressing, that's more important at the moment. The basic needs have to be covered, which is, in yoga, I would say the first chakras have to be established and solidified, right? The first, second, third chakras, they are dealing mainly with the self-security. If our self is in danger, if we are in a period of war, or we're in a dangerous situation at home or whatever, then it's difficult to think about spiritual aspects. But again, if it's more difficult, then the reward is higher, is bigger. Excuse me. Okay, so Web says, would you take this thought further? The times of crisis are a fortune by God to progress faster, an opportunity to advance? Yes, I mean, look, let's put it like this. First of all, you and I, right now, we are in a channel where we talk about yoga, right? And so I assume you have had some contact with yoga or you are practicing yoga. Just the fact that we came into contact with these teachings is a great blessing. So something really good that we have done in another life, for sure, right? Just that's for a start. But then think about it for a moment. We are in the darkest period of the planet, Kali Yuga, right? It's been already for thousands of years. It will carry on. It has been the age of Pisces, and now we are going into the age of Aquarius. within Kali Yuga. We are not living Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is the darkest era. So we are still in the darkest era. And we are moving from Pisces to Aquarian age. And this is kind of like the transition from adolescence to maturity in terms of humanity's consciousness. So the transition from adolescence to maturity is one of the hardest stages in life, because your whole world is turned upside down. You are kind of independent in some way. You think you know what life is about, and you have these great ideas and great expectations for life. And then you are like with a lot of energy also at that time of the life. So you are like, let's go, no? And that, that sometimes we mess up. But it's also extremely rich, enriching and beautiful moment. Yeah, like it's like a flower opening up. Yeah. So we are in the darkest period of the planet, in one of the most difficult transitions in the planet, in the humanity, as from adolescence to maturity. Like one of the most critical, let's not say hardest, but let's more critical points of transition in life. And we have chosen to live this time. Let's not say that we, by fate, ended up, but let's say we chose to live here. Let's say our soul somehow chose to be born in these times. And so it must have thought that we were ready, first of all, to deal with it. Otherwise, we would not be here. And second, even though it's the hardest era and the most difficult point in the transition, not the most difficult, sorry, the most critical, one of the most critical points in the transition of evolution from humanity, excuse me, still, in spite of that, we found yoga. So we found the teachings, we found the tools to be able to deal with it. So yes, it's tough, but we chose it. We chose to be born in these times, and therefore we must be ready to deal with that. And so this is something my teacher said once to me. I was talking about how difficult it is to progress in the spiritual path and to clean our karmas and awaken our consciousness. And he said that. He said, in regular times, in normal times, it takes an extraordinary person to get realized, to liberate him or herself. In extraordinary times, any regular person, any normal person can illuminate, liberate him or herself. That's enough. Satnam Sergio, hermoso. Villanueva, hello. Welcome to the stream. Nice to see you here. Villanueva. Do I know you, Sergio? I had a teacher who was called Villanueva in the university. So I don't know if you have any connection to Villanueva, Professor Villanueva. So in regular times, it took an extraordinary person to get realized. In extraordinary times, any person can get realized if we just get through it, right? And sometimes it's just about not sinking into the mud. It's not about really making this great, achievement in life. Sometimes, just not go under, it's already a great achievement. Because in the different eras of the yugas, the different yugas, I wasn't planning to go into this, but let me just connect it. There was like the Golden Age, the Sat Yuga, and then Dwapar, Treta, and Kali Yuga, right? So it's like the Golden Era, the Silver Era, and what's the other one? Copper and Iron, something like that. So it's like saying, look, in the Golden Age of the planet, the wheel of Dharma, the Dharmic chariot, this chariot that, Krishna is driving the horses, right? Imagine that it has 4 wheels. Imagine that it has 4 wheels. Is working perfectly. In the next era, in the silver one, it's like one of the wheels got stuck in the mud. but we can still move with the chariot, right? The wheel is not, it's kind of got stuck a little bit and now it's full of mud, but you can kind of move the horse. With the horses, you can move the chariot, sorry. My English, right? The third era, that's when two of the wheels got stuck in the mud. Imagine, a chariot with two wheels in the mud is really difficult to move on. Now, Kali Yuga, the era that we are right now, it is said that 3 of the wheels are in the mud. So 75% of what we perceive is false, right? Because this is like the chariot of Dharma, I said. Dharma is truth, is related to truth. So as long as we live in falseness, we live in karma. And as long as we are living in karma, we produce falseness, yeah? The ego is a false identity. So we react with our ego, so we are living with the karma. So the Dharma chariot has 3 wheels in the mud. So when the chariot of Dharma is so stuck, sometimes just to be afloat and not to sink any deeper, that's already a great advancement. And we don't need to be great, have this incredible impact in the world, to feel that we make sense in the universe, right? Sometimes it's just, can I go through Christmas without saying a single bad word and not creating any conflict with any family member and just, allowing myself to enjoy and the peacefulness and the enjoyment and the light? Can I just go through that? So if we can allow ourselves to just stay like that, that's already incredible. Same with the karma, Sometimes we want to put out the fire, but sometimes why don't we just stop putting wood into it? It will slowly calm down and it will dissipate. And so can we just stop adding wood into the fire of karma, and can we just stay afloat with the Dharma chariot? That's already an incredible advancement. And even if we are regular people, we can do extraordinary things in that way. So Webb says, isn't realization an absolute? Why do you propose that relative quality of time and effort has a bearing towards its achievement? What do you mean that it's an absolute? If you reach it, maybe it's an absolute. But in order to reach it, there has to be an effort to get there, right? And the effort is going to be affected by what is around us, our environment, and by the times that we are living in. Don't you think? Let me know. It's like I get to make 1 million no matter how hard. I don't understand. So making 1 million. How do you connect that with realization? I don't understand. How hard the times. Well, depending on how hard are the times. Look, if we were all embracing and hugging and loving each other and holding hands, and as soon as you see someone, everybody's smiley to you and hug you, and they show their love and they show their real self, and their face is shining with empathy and loving kindness, it's very easy to be loving and empathetic and kind and give a hug back and enjoy their presence, isn't it? If the people around you are nasty and full of the drama and they are complaining, keeping your kindness and your peacefulness and your loving and your joy, that's much harder, isn't it? And if that's harder, then being able to make it, being able to complete it in spite of what's happening around you, then that's a greater progress, because you made a greater spiritual effort. And so your strength of will got more developed, your capacity to deal with hardships with immovable faith gets stronger, and you are not swayed by the winds of times. I think that that proves much better how much effort do you put. It's going to show how far you can get. You know, you can test a boat when there is very soft winds, yeah, and then it's very easy to sail and it's very calm. But are you going to take that boat across the ocean? Because across the ocean is going to be big storms, and it has to survive to the other side. So hard times are going to come. Are we ready for those? And the true test of a boat is whether it can survive those hard times, because it has to cross the ocean, right? It's a metaphor for the ocean of life. It's called samsara. Samsara is like the ocean of, life and death and rebirth and come back, and life and birth and rebirth. And this cycle, this unending cycle, yeah? And there is some great challenge to cross to get to the other side. And that requires greed and strength and will and determination and discipline and faith and a lot of qualities that are going to be tested when the times are hard. And I don't know if I'm getting you. Please tell me, how do you relate this? How do you hear this? How does it touch you? This aspect about the making a million or not, I'm not really getting it. But even if the times are hard, even if there is a lot of effort to do, I'd rather have a strong effort to do and being able to, if I am driving my boat in the middle of the storm, I'd rather do that knowing where am I heading than being in a very peaceful, calm sea and not knowing where I'm going, and not being where I have to be, right? So I prefer to be where I have to be, what I want to be, where it's my destiny to be, even if it's hard storms, than being very peaceful and not there. So makes sense, thank you. I was thinking the realization is an absolute, like in a race. It's the gold medal, but no, it's more about effort and the changing character one goes through. Oh, I see. Well, I mean, if there was a race, who are you racing against? I mean, it's just against ourselves, right? I hear a lot about, high achievement sports figures that mention how it's important that we fight against our personal best, our PB, right? Try to beat our PB. Don't try to compete with the others. Try to beat our PB all the time. I've heard this concept many times. I like try to be the best that I can be. And of course, what other people do are going to be influencing us. There's proof on this in many ways, no? When there is a particular world record to do, I don't know, the marathon under two, nobody has done it under 2 hours, and then one person beats it, and then more will appear, right? This has happened many times in the world when somebody beats a big record, and then suddenly a few other people do it. So there is a kind of race and competition in that sense, but for ourselves, realization, first, a race implies time and trying to beat the clock. But when you consider that we have been here many lives and we are likely to come back again, then what is the rush to get where, right? And also to get where, because the realization is within. So where are we running towards? What's the race? But I do like the idea of the gold medal. That I definitely like, because there is a certain alchemy within. It's like the heaviest parts in ourselves, the darkest ones, need to be transformed. That's like an alchemical process, right? To transform the lead into gold. So there is a lead heart. We suffer and we feel pain, and then we feel betrayed or abandoned or whatever, and then our heart is full of heaviness and it feels like lead. Can we, through the tapas, the effort, the spiritual effort, the fiery effort of tapas, can we transform that? And I believe that this metaphor of alchemy is very much within our physical body. So we see the diaphragm, it has the shape of a cauldron, yeah? And let me just do a little drawing. Let me see, how can I draw this? I'll put it in another color. The diaphragm is kind of like an inverted cauldron, but as we are breathing in, it goes down. So imagine that this is the space. It's not really like this because this would be in the front, but I don't know how to draw this. I'm going to draw it like this. So as we are inhaling and exhaling, this is moving up and down, yeah? And do you remember when I did that drawing? I don't know if you were here or using the video on the self. Let me just show it one moment. We have many aspects of the self. There is the false self, the ego. There is the real self in the heart. And there is the hidden self underneath. And look, this is the cauldron I was trying to draw, but I kind of messed up a little bit in the drawing, but never mind. So, look, here is the hidden self. Yeah. And this is the place of our commotion, yeah? Our emotions, which are like reactive emotions. But this fiery quality, this fire that, sometimes we feel it as anger or rage, this can be transformed. And this inner fire, through the practice of yoga, there is a practice in yoga, something that Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras will call tapas, which is not the Spanish tapas, yeah? In Spain we have like many dishes. Sometimes you can go having dinner, you go and have many dishes of different things, and we call it tapas, but it's not the same. This is like spiritual effort. And through our discipline and our inner effort, we can make this fire be transformative. And fire has an incredible quality, has some incredible qualities. Very often it can be burning and damaging, but if you know how to apply it and to what to apply it, like to a pottery, like to a pot, to make pottery, it can complete and transform. So the fire of tapas through our spiritual practice can help transform what is in here. What's in here? Well, our heart. And if there is any way where it can live, then it would be our soul, right? So it can turn the lead, the heaviness of the heart, into gold. So this race that Darkin, you were talking about, to get to the gold medal, is not a race to get anywhere outside, and it's not against time. It's a race to go within and to find this real gold, the real gold in the heart. So, and it's also through this transformation of this inner fire which the gold transforms. Through the breathing practices, through the energy practices, and through spiritual effort like transforming our own mind games and our own tendencies and our own karmic habits and patterns. Transforming all that makes the fire change And then this transforms into gold. And then we have the golden heart. Yeah. So I would say that's the gold medal. And look, don't you put the gold medal around the neck, right? To sit on front of the heart. I think that's very, very symbolic. Yeah, that's where we put the medal. So I would say that the very end of any spiritual path is getting to this place. And along the way, we may want to rise the Kundalini, reach to the crown chakra, awaken the third eye, and have intuition. But all that is along the way. The end result has to be back to the heart. So this is the race. This is the final, the gold medal that we want to get to. And going through hard times are great opportunities for us, because hard times require more heat, right? It's like in the winter, we have to put the heater stronger, and that's the inner heat of the body. Yeah, we have to do more yoga, we have to do more tapas, we have to do more our practice. That's going to increase the heat in here. But the right amount of heat, you put too much and it's destructive. So you have to calibrate it as well. It's not just about, some people arrive to yoga and then they start doing 5 hours of hatha and then 3 hours of meditation, and it's like too much heat. No, so being able to calibrate how much does it need, that's very critical. So that was interesting. Let me know, Dark King, if you are. I'm calling Dark King, but it's Dark King. Yeah, King. Interesting. Yeah, there's Raja Yoga, the king, the king or the queen. So, Dark King, let me know if that resolves your doubt or if there is something else behind. So let's take this into the realm of thoughts. Okay? Let's do it with this diagram. So, as I mentioned, we have this kind of antenna within, in our heads, and as we are, let me put it like this. I will use the green color. So there's many thoughts that are floating around. Yeah, there is these waves, and sometimes it is said like 1,000 thoughts per wink of an eye. And this, out of these waves, then, we allow one of these thoughts to be released and to be caught. And our mind decides, we take this one, we choose it, and we allow it to develop. Yeah, there's many possible ideas that we could have, but there's this one thought that we let it happen within us. And then this thought is going to come down. I'm going to draw it here. I don't want to mess up and confuse this drawing, but it's basically going within, yeah? See it in that way. So as it comes down, comes into the level of the heart, and the heart doesn't speak like the mind. The mind speaks in thoughts. The heart speaks in feelings. So feelings. This is one thought. By the way, let me just name this. This is the life cycle of a thought. And Sandam, everyone, if you just connected, you can say hello in the chat. Welcome to the stream, and we are talking about this topic today, life cycle of a thought. Though we had a little diversion towards to the topic of Kali Yuga and where we are in the planet and going through hard times. But here we are right now with a thought. A thought comes in, we pick it up, and then as we start to think about it, it produces some sort of feelings within. Now, these feelings are, at this moment, at the level of the heart, they are still very neutral. They don't have to be positive or negative. They are just how it's feelings. So Dark King says, yes, it does. I wanted you to talk about Jyotirmaya Darshan and its significance also, but I will wait till the end of the session for it. All right. Satnam, I actually don't know what Jyotirmaya Darshan is. So I'm sorry about my ignorance. Can you tell me? Can you write in the chat what it is? I know what darshan is, but I'm not sure about Jyotirmaya. I know Jyoti, I know Maya, but I don't know what Jyotirmaya is together. It might mean something else than what I'm thinking. So tell me what you understand for that, and then I will reply to that. Saddam said, hello, welcome again. Good to see you here. We already started without you, but you can catch up later with the beginning of the session. You're on time to the main diagram, so welcome to the stream. So a thought comes in, feelings manifest as we are thinking about it, and these are neutral feelings. They are neither positive nor negative. But then as we think more about this, they slowly become the language of the belly. If the head speaks the language of thoughts, and the heart speaks the language of feelings, the belly speaks the language of course, emotions. So let's say somebody invites you to a holiday party where there's going to be a lot of people, some people that you would like to see, some people that you don't like to see, and then you're thinking, well, if I go there, I'm going to meet so-and-so. And how will I feel about that? Well, I remember how it felt being with that person the last time. And the thing is, as it comes down into feeling, so quickly we turn it into an emotion, and generally an emotional reaction. So we react, oh my God, that was nasty, what happened the last time. And so you see, a memory will trigger, and then feelings and emotions very, very quickly, the neutrality from feelings is lost, and then the emotional becomes an emotional reaction. And then down we go, the emotional reaction. An emotional reaction is going to turn into something else. Let me just read. Dark King, it's the infinite hollow pillar of light one sees in deep meditation rising from the top of the head. Swami Shivananda calls it Jyotirmaya. Oh, I see. I'm not aware of that concept particularly. I've read a few things from Shivananda, a few books from his tradition, but I'm not aware of that. But I can understand what it means. I can understand what that relates to. And I would say maybe afterwards we can talk a little bit about that. Yeah, hollow pillar of light. Yeah, let's explore it a little bit. And if it's relevant to the diagram, I will bring it back to this diagram because it may be connected in some way. Yeah, I will keep it in the back of my mind. Thank you. And maybe we come back to that point. Remind me if I forget, yeah? So thought becomes feeling, feeling becomes an emotion, and emotion becomes a desire. It's kind of, we are going from the thoughts which express themselves like words. Words is something that we associate with the fifth chakra, even though, the mind is up here. Fifth chakra is words. Fourth chakra is air, then fire, third chakra, then we go to second chakra, and that would be desire. This is more aligned with the second chakra, yeah? It would be more into the second. But desire. And from desire, maybe, for example, in this example, I'm thinking, oh, so-and-so is going to be in that party. Do I desire to see them or do I not? Do I feel like I would love to go and visit, see them again? Or maybe is that going to be confronting and maybe a conflict, and so I want to avoid it. So maybe my desire is to avoid that. No matter what, desire leads to some sort of action. So we are kind of going around, touching the bottom and going up. Action is something we generally associate with the third chakra. So we come back to the third level of the third chakra, and we have actions. Yeah. And that action is generally, I'm just still talking, if this is like in karmic terms, then that action is going to have a reaction, which means that there's going to be a karma associated to that. But from this desire point, let me just do a little. Let me put it like this. There is like a double path that we can take. Maybe I'm making it too small as usual. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, so there is a lecture from Yogi Bhajan where he was talking about this, and let me just read the quote. Quote: so you have an intellect, and the intellect releases 1,000 thoughts per 1/10 of a second. So this would be these 1,000 thoughts here. Each thought becomes emotion. They would be feeling emotion. Emotion can become a desire. And each desire can become a commotion. So this is like from desire, it can go into a commotion. Each commotion can become a neurosis. And neurosis can become patterns. And patterns bring miseries. So this is down into miseries. Like this. But there is another possibility. Let me continue the quote. Sorry, I just made a pause, but let me read again. 1 second. Okay. So can become patterns can become miseries. Or its desire can turn around 180 degrees and become devotion, compassion, sacrifice, and that leads to happiness. So this is a quote I wanted to read. I think that, there's quite a few things from Yogi Bhajan which are quite enlightening. These two directions, yeah? This is what sometimes we call the path to hell and the path to heaven. And hell is full of misery, and heaven is full of happiness. Yeah, let's say, and this is hell on earth and heaven on earth. Yeah, it's a figurative hell and heaven. But there's actually 7 steps to get to hell and 7 steps to heaven. Maybe some other day or some other course we will go into those 7 steps. But for example, to go to heaven is like commitment, character, dignity, divinity, grace, power to sacrifice, and that leads to happiness. So he's making this relationship through sacrifice to happiness. So he's implying that there is this movement towards heaven, and then this is the other one. Now, what does this mean? What does this mean in relationship to the cycle of a thought? Well, it means that when the thought comes down into a desire, it can go down. Emotion becomes commotion, means that it is tainted by darkness, yeah? And then that from the subconscious is going to leak into the unconscious, and it's going to be a neurosis. That creates a pattern not only in ourselves, in our thoughts, but also in a karmic seed that is going to repeat itself, and that is going to be a pattern. And of course, the pattern of drama, karma drama, yeah? One of the steps to hell is called the karma drama, yeah? So the steps through karma drama, this is going to become miseries. So we're going to be in suffering. What would this mean? It would mean that we are going through this cycle, emotion, desire, and then the action that we create is a karmic action, and then that action can go up, and then it has some karma. And then whenever we create some karma, that's going to leave a seed in our subconscious, in the deepest layers, what we call the samskaras, yeah? And that means that that's going to manifest again. So for example, and something else before I give the example. Karmas can be on 3 levels: on the level of thoughts, words, or actions. So if I say something nasty about somebody, yeah, or I have some emotional reaction, and then I fight with somebody close to me, right? And then we are in an argument and I'm fighting. Now I'm creating karma. I'm planting the seeds of karma. That karma is going to go into my subconscious, in particularly the area of the samskaras, and then it's going to wait there until the next time it has to manifest again. Now, the next time that it's propitious for the karma to be released, it will come back again, and it can come back again as another thought. Yeah? So we could say that this karma goes into somewhere in the universe. We could say in the samskaras, but we could call that linked to chitta, to our consciousness in some way. And then out of chitta, maybe when the time comes for the thought to manifest again, it will come back through one of these many thoughts. As I mentioned, many of these thoughts are not ours. They are just floating around, but some of them are ours. Not all of them, but some of them are. So, and also, whatever karma is awaiting for us to manifest, the karma would be waiting in this area here, the subconscious. It would be here. Right? So I said something nasty about somebody, the karma for that thought is stored here, and then the next time I am with that person again, maybe on Christmas holidays, whatever, then that seed, it says, well, now I'm ready to flourish, and it comes back up to the surface, which means that it comes floating into our minds as a thought. And now I'm thinking about this thought again. So you see, I thought about it, I had a feeling, I had an emotion, I had a desire, I did some sort of action, maybe I argued with that person, I said some nasty things, that created some karma, and that got stored into chitta, into consciousness in some way, or the universal mind, you can call it if you want, and then that is going to manifest again. So this is the cycle that we repeat, the karmic cycle. This is when we are going down this path, yeah? I drew it like this down towards hell, even though, hell is also above us, yeah? But just to clarify that this is like a downward spiral, yeah? This is a downward spiral. It could go down like this. Now, we could change this, and this action here, sorry that it's in the middle of this part of the diagram, but this action doesn't have to be karmic action. It can be a dharmic action. If this is a dharmic action, a dharmic response, then what this action is going to do, this is like the karma, or this would be the dharma. And this is going to actually liberate us from a particular karma that was strangling us, that it was like we were prisoners to that karma. Some particular thought that is entangling us every time we are neurotic about it. This is the pattern, the way we think about it. This is the commotion that we generate in the world. And this is only bringing misery until the day that I can transform it and making a dharmic action which is going to liberate it. And the transformation starts here through the devotion, you see? So this is where the path in yoga that we call transform emotion to devotion, passion to compassion. And here they are, devotion and compassion. So this emotion that we are feeling here, emotion is no more than energy in motion. So I'm going to transform this energy into devotion, from emotion to devotion. So, okay, I'm feeling pain. I went through some tough issue in the past. Fine. Maybe I was being trained. I'm just giving an idea, right? Could it be that I was having a training that someday I may be able to help others who have gone through the same? Could that be a possibility? And somehow by thinking it, that this is my training for me to be of service to someone, it somehow brings it out of the personal and brings it into the impersonal. It brings me out of this hole that we are going down, 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 down. No. Let's bring it up into the impersonal. This is more personal, this is more impersonal. So can I bring it up and utilize even the emotion, the dark emotion and the pain that was associated to that feeling to cultivate my devotion? So utilize that emotion to devotion. This is what we do when we are chanting Om Namo Gurudev Namo, when we are tuning in for the yoga. The chanting of Om is a sad thought, is a sad feeling, it's a sad emotion. We are chanting Om and it's a sad thought, it's a sad feeling, a sad emotion, and there is a desire to be rid of these miseries. So this is what we do. Om. We are calling upon the sadness. We are calling upon the pain. Namo Gurudev Namo. It's a sad tone. It's a longing. The Om has a longing. And we are calling on it because we want to get the energy that is intrinsic in that pain and the suffering and utilize it. Don't just let it go. Utilize it for my practice. When we are distracted, when we are having some temporal pleasure, we forget about yoga, we forget about meditation, we forget about our sadnam. But when we are in pain, let me do my meditation. Let me chant sadnam. Let me do a prayer, because we are in this pain, right? So pain and sadness reminds us of what we need. So can we take that? Can we take that emotion, transform it into into devotion? Can we take the passion, an old word to mean pain, pathos, comes from pathos. Can we take the passion and transform it to compassion? Like I was saying before, like if I suffer, could it be a training to help, so that I can help others, so I can serve others through my compassion? So emotion to devotion, passion to compassion. I sacrifice the need to gratify myself and to feel pity for myself and to whatever this suffering is giving me, this pattern and this neurosis is giving me. Can I sacrifice all that? Then I can get to happiness. So that path, through that transformation, which is a kind of alchemy as well, emotion to devotion, passion to compassion, this is the right kind of fire, transforming this fire that we were talking about before on the alchemy to get to the gold medal, So that's going to transform this, and then the action can be dharmic and can actually clean up and clear what is down here in the samskaras. And then next time I'm much more clean in order to perceive other brain waves, other thought waves, because this is like an antenna. I mentioned the mind is like a radio, but are we going to pick up road rage radio? Are we going to pick up jealousy radio? Are we going to pick up envy radio? Or are we going to pick up Radio Guru, right? Can we pick up that very, very subtle frequency, very, very difficult to catch, is very, very fine? Can we get it? And for that, it needs a very tuned instrument. And if the instrument is filled with stuff here and garbage in here, insecurities, guilt, shame, all that, then we're not going to pick that one up. When we are here, we're going to pick some dark thought that is going to want to go in this, a pattern of thoughts, It's going to want to go down in this way. So this is the way generally it applies. So Dark King says, but Dharma does not always take the form of sattva, forgiveness. It can also be rajasic, enterprising, or tamasic, especially for people in power. How does a person in power do Raja Dharma? Okay, a number of things. Okay. So sattva doesn't mean really forgiveness. It means more like truth, right? Sattvik. But forgiveness is a form of sattvik, because if we live in falsehood, if we live in the form of the ego, if we allow the ego to rule, this is who is going to rule, right? Remember at the beginning I said, conquer your mind and you will conquer the world. If you don't conquer your mind, the ego is the false king. It's called false king as well. And then that falseness is going to rule through injustices and feeling guilty and feeling proud and feeling victim. And, that's where forgiveness comes in. That's why sometimes we say the first step in the spiritual path is forgiveness. So sattva in the sense of, can I forgive everything that happened to meet with the reality, with the truth, with the sattva? Yeah, that's a sattvic enterprise. That's a sattvic step to forgive. Yeah. Dharma does not always take the form of sattva. It can be rajasic, like enterprising, or tamasic, like punishing. I wouldn't say that Dharma is punishing. For people in power, you mean damaging people in power is punishing? Punishing people in power is tamas. I don't see how. I mean, Dharma, a dharmic action is an action which has no karma. Where there is karma, there is no karma. Where there is karma, there is no dharma. So they are opposites. Now, just because somebody is in power, it doesn't mean anything. Why should we punish anyone in power? Everybody is responsible, accountable for their actions. But just because they have power doesn't mean that they are going to have bad actions. There's plenty of people who take power and they do big changes in the world which are dharmic. We have to know also that three of the wheels of the dharmic chariot are in mud. Yeah, this is Kali Yuga. So when you get to that power, it's going to be much more easy to go into the mud. And then when you don't have power and you mess up, your mess ups affect a few people around you. But when you are in a position of power and you mess up, you're going to affect a lot of people around you. And it's going to be much more impactful. That's why, it's power has this connotation that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, but it doesn't have to be. It depends on the heart. It depends on the person. It depends on the quality of your consciousness. So a person in power do Raja Dharma. How does a person in power do Raja Dharma? Well, look, power is Shakti. And Kundalini Shakti, yeah, I talk a lot about the Kundalini energy in us and how we can awaken it. Look, that energy is power. It's no more than power. If we look at the people in power and we say, how much corruption is there? I don't want to be corrupt, but by fear of being corrupt, we don't take the power, then that means two things. One, we are effectively disabling our own Kundalini. We are shutting down our own capacity to wake up. And look, Kundalini is power and is consciousness, yeah? There is a consciousness linked to that. So we are actually disabling our capacity to awaken by saying, no, I'm not going to take that because that's too much power. I'm afraid I'm going to be corrupt. Okay, so first of all, you are putting down your Kundalini. Second of all, let's say you are working on your consciousness. You are a disciple of the truth, sattva. Yeah, you are a disciple of the truth, and you cultivate your inner strength and your will and your devotion and your faith and all these great qualities. And you are afraid of power, and you don't take the power. Who are you letting the power to be taken by? Who is going to take the power if you don't take it? Those who are not afraid to be corrupt, right? So if you are afraid to be corrupt and therefore you don't take the power, the power is going to be taken by those who are not afraid to be corrupt. And then we can complain as much as we want about them being corrupt because we didn't take it, right? So the power, and power, you know, it can be inside, it can be inner and outer, it doesn't matter. It's just power is power. There's nothing wrong with power. It's just about what do we do with that. It's the more power you have, the more power you have to mess up and do mistakes. But you know what? We are too afraid of mistakes. We can learn through mistakes. But in our society, in the school, everything revolves around getting high grades, and every accent has to be written in the right way, and every letter has to be correct, and the handwriting has to be perfect, and so on and so forth. And we grow so wary of making mistakes that we want to be always perfect. So we don't want to mess up. But it's through mistakes that we learn. But okay, the more power we get, our mistakes are going to be messy. But what are we going to do? Are we going to not take any power just to avoid making mistakes? Then just stay in bed. Don't even get up in the morning. Because it's going to take, you're going to have even a little impact. If you just get up, you start thinking. The moment you start thinking, look, this is an antenna. It's a receiving, but it's also emitting. Whatever you are thinking, you are producing. Remember that there is 3 levels of karma: thought, words, or action. So just by thinking bad thoughts, we are already emitting karma out there, right? So this is the thing. If we don't act for fear of the karma, do you know that inaction has also some karmic consequences? So it's challenging. Nobody said this is easy. This is the dilemma where we are. Am I gonna act? If I act, I'm gonna get more power. If I'm gonna get more power, I may mess up. And if I mess up, more people are gonna see me. But we are afraid of that. Yeah, I think that's a sensible fear, and that's almost also a healthy fear. Can we take that fear, put it behind us, and let it become our consciousness? So that because I'm afraid to be corrupt, because I don't want to fall into that, I'm going to be much more careful what I say, what I do, what I think with these 3 things, yeah? I think that's the right approach. Now, in terms of whether it's tamasic, rajasic, or sattvic, I would say that these 3 levels can be applied in a dharmic way, either way. And yeah, maybe one is more the saint or the meditator who just sits in meditation and it's emitting beautiful vibration out there. And there is another saying, idiots think, saints do. So the action has, saints are very much saints in action. So that's a very rajasic thing as well, right? Action is a fiery thing. So we can take it through that way as well. But I wouldn't say that tamas is punishing. I wouldn't understand that. What are we punishing then? So Satnam, Stanislav, hello, welcome. What is beyond consciousness? Can you elaborate your question a little bit more? Beyond in which sense? Beyond us? Beyond where? Beyond in the universe? Or what do you mean? Can you elaborate a little bit? In the meantime, while you elaborate, yeah? Is this clear? Yeah? This is the cycle. It can go through dharma, it can go through karma, it can go into hell, it can bring us to heaven, but this is how the cycle happens. Now, some parts of this cycle we cannot really control. Like, as soon as it goes into feeling, it very, very, very quickly becomes an emotion, and from emotion, it very quickly wants to come into desire. But we have a few places where we can introduce change, where we can have an effect on this cycle. Let me get another color. So our will can have an impact on this level. I already mentioned how we can, through our own willpower and the application of our consciousness, we can transform these downward spiral patterns into miseries, yeah, into this upward tendency, yeah, towards happiness. So by applying our consciousness to the moment where we are feeling this desire, when we are feeling that we want to act in a particular way, we can stop ourselves before it manifests outside of us. You see, this is where it's coming out, yeah? So before it comes outside of ourselves, that's where we can effect some change and check, in a way, okay, how much of my actions right now, your actions can be a word, it can be saying something to someone. And your actions can also be like a repression of your emotions. Yeah, it can be like I'm feeling in a particular way and I have a particular emotion and you want to do something, but I'm not going to do it. So I'm going to close my mouth and not say anything. You don't say anything, but you don't process the emotion and then it becomes stuck and then you are repressing the emotions. That's an action against yourself in this case. But in general, I meant actions towards the outside, but now I have to mention that this is also towards the inside. But in any case, in this point where desire becomes action, this is where we have a place where we can apply our will and transform that tendency towards miseries and transform it into happiness from karmic action to a dharmic response. Yeah, a dharmic response to the situation or the thought that is coming and liberating myself from that thought or that thought pattern. So this is one place where we have an impact. There is another place. Right here, which is when we are perceiving and receiving all these thoughts. You know, how was Yogi Bhajan saying it? Something like 1,000 thoughts by the blink of an eye. When we are having all these thoughts, which ones are we going to choose to nourish? Because we can go in any direction. We can let the mind go and then do what it generally does, or we can cut some thoughts before they become feelings and emotions and desire, and just cut it. Don't let it develop, and then choose what kind of thought do I want to continue. Like, for example, a sattvic thought of forgiveness. Yeah. Ooh, the last time that person came to the party, wait a moment. I'm not going to feel victim. I'm not going to play the victim game. I'm not going to blame them anymore. And I'm going to forgive. That's a thought I want to nourish. Can I go into that thought? How would it feel to forgive? How would it feel to be in the presence of that person and feel that I have released the karmic debt or whatever I wrote in the things that I wrote, in my secret notebook, the black book that we all have? Can I release that? And by thinking that kind of thought, forgiveness, a sattvic thought, that's going to have a certain kind of feeling, a purifying emotion, a desire to actually be with that person and feel that we have released that. And, that's a transformation, that's compassion, that's a sacrifice. I have sacrificed the need to play the victim, and now I'm going to be much happier as a result. And I hope that becomes very clear, yeah? So how the will can be applied here, and the will can be applied here. It will depend here how strong I am in cutting the pattern, because if I am very identified with these patterns and these neuroses, I'm not going to be able to cut it. My tendency is like going there. Identified is like, this is my ego, yeah? My ego identifies with this. This is going to be, and it's going to be particularly linked to ahankar. We're going to see in the next part of this course, we're going to talk about mana, chitta, buddhi, ahankar. We're going to see how ahankar is the one that is like kind of linking us to this particular pattern of behavior in this case, but also patterns of thoughts. So to cut that will be to cut the identification with that kind of neurosis. So to avoid the commotion, and to the emotion to transform it into devotion, and then let it go up from there. So Stanislav says, is there anything that consciousness can't comprehend? All right. That's interesting. I would say yes. Let me try to explore that idea. Yeah. First, comprehend, somehow, to me, the word implies kind of embracing and holding. Yeah, holding. It's not so much understand, but it's like comprehend. It's like being able to hold something and embrace something. Understanding is something that the mind wants to do, even though consciousness, it's also about understanding, yeah, and learning. But if we manage to separate mind from consciousness, it's very clearly the mind. There's a number of things that the mind knows, and some things that it doesn't know, some things that it doesn't understand. But is there something that is beyond even our capacity of our consciousness to comprehend? I believe the ultimate reality of God, that the infinite, there is an infinite primary intelligence guiding everything that's happened and everything that is happening. That ultimate force, it's not understandable, and we cannot really comprehend it as long as we are immersed within our individual consciousness. But it becomes just very philosophical and a little bit intellectual. I would say that as long as we are individualized as consciousness, separated from the universal consciousness, then there are things which are escaping our awareness and we can never comprehend. And in the very last step of merger with the infinite, I would say that you become one with that, and then you are in everywhere. At that point, then that consciousness has reached the last stage, the turiya. That's consciously conscious, or super conscious, or super conscious, yeah. And then that's the union and the merger of your individual consciousness with the universal consciousness. In that moment, I think you would be embracing the infinite. But even then, can you really embrace it? Because it's the infinite. How do you embrace that? So I would say you don't need to comprehend something in order to merge with that, which is kind of on a more small scale, is linked to we don't need to understand something to be at ease with that. We are afraid of the things that we are unfamiliar with, not the things that we don't understand. So, for example, let me put this example. I can imagine the first time a radio was invented, some people must have thought this was the work of the devil. Right? A little machine, and it has a voice inside, and there's nobody in, but it's speaking, and people would have been really, really afraid of that. Some people, yeah. The same with the TV, There's nobody inside, but they are speaking, and what's happening, and this must be the devil. So, what happened? Did we lose the fear of that because we understood how it works? I mean, I'm asking you, anyone. Do you understand exactly how it works? Do you understand how different electrons in one layer of the atom of silicon can change its polarity, and therefore by that property we can create logic gates like transistors, and putting transistors together we can create like little gates like AND and OR, and putting them together we can create little modules which become chips. And with chips, we can create the hardware, and then we can build the software. And then now we can create, a little electrode which produces electricity and this, that. Do you understand every single step until you get to the screen and then you see the TV? And then, if you are watching in a tablet or your TV, do you understand every single step that is involved in the process until you see it? No, we don't understand it, right? Most of us will not understand it. And yet, we are not afraid of it because we can use it and because we have been familiarized with it. The first time a car appeared, it was kind of scary. The first time a radio appeared, it was kind of scary. Now it's absolutely normal. But Stanley said, beautiful answer, thank you, thank you. And now AI, many people fear this technology. Exactly, it's exactly that. Stan, it's exactly that. We are unfamiliar with it and we don't know where we stand. Yeah? The cars are gonna be everywhere. It's a scary thought, but suddenly cars are everywhere. Now there's no more horses around. Sorry for the horses, but everybody's familiar with the cars and nobody's afraid of them. What's going to happen with AI? We don't know, but it's another thing, yeah? At the moment, let's just understand from a psychological standpoint. We don't stop being afraid of the things that we understand or comprehend. We stop being afraid of the things that we are familiar with. So where does that take you? And how will that change in your relationship to AI? Or just to your mind? Do you understand your mind? Do you comprehend how your mind works? Can it even understand itself? Is it even possible for the mind to understand the mind? Let alone let the mind understand consciousness. I think this is exactly why I do all these diagrams, all these drawings, all these things. Why? Because there is some things that is just so difficult for the mind to understand. It's just we have to simplify it, do some diagrams which are never really going to do justice to what really is, but it helps for the mind to understand, and then it kind of, okay. And if I put examples that we are familiarized with, like the example of, going to a Christmas party and what happens there, then I am familiar with that, then I can relax a bit more, right? And then that helps us. That helps the mind to relax a little bit, because otherwise the mind is fighting. And if the mind is fighting, we are not neutral. If we are not neutral, we are likely to make errors and not to make high decisions. I'm fine with doing errors and mistakes. I'm fine if I can learn. But, if we have our awareness and our consciousness, let's apply it in a neutral way so we can be aware, so we can adapt and adjust our behavior in the moment so we don't create more karma. But if we are in a reaction mode, if we are in a reactive reaction, emotional reactions, let me put in reactions here, this will go into karma. Dharma is responses and implies consciousness. This is a habit, a pattern, yeah? This is a conscious choice. So I think it's also important that to accept from the mind that there is some things that we will never understand. And it is fine. We don't have to understand everything. So I think that would be an important step. There is things I understand, things I don't understand, and I don't know, things I know, things I don't know, and things that are unknowable, that I will never understand, that I will never be able to comprehend with my mind. With consciousness, Stan, we may be able to merge, but again, I don't think we can comprehend everything, and we don't even need to comprehend everything. Especially if we go too much in. I'm particularly, I have a strong intellect, so I like to dissect things and understand things. But this is one of the challenges when you have a strong intellect, which is that it will want to understand everything, and not everything can be understood. At some point, you have to let go. This happens a lot in meditation. Some points you just have to let go and just be in the experience, because the mind will not understand everything that is happening. So, that is my perspective for the mind in relation to this today. Let me just address the thing that Dark King was asking before. Jyotir Maya Darshan, you mentioned this was, what was that? The infinite hollow pillar of light one sees in deep meditation. Before I go into that, let's say what you're writing. I have heard that thoughts originate in what is called the casual world, and it's something that one needs to fix directly in higher states of consciousness. Is that true? I don't know. In my experience, I don't know. I don't know if it's true or not. What I know is that wherever they originate, this is the moment that we are catching them, or that they are, let's say, arising into the semi-conscious. So this is the place where it matters. This is the place where we need to exercise our will and choose what we are going to think. At the end, where does the thought originate from? If it's from the inner subconscious, if it's from some external casual world, if it's a thought that is floating around me but is from somebody else, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you choose what you allow to come into your mind. And this point particularly is exactly why we have mantra. Mantra, yeah? Mantra, protection of the mind. To protect our mind, to be able to choose what I allow to come here. And look, if your mind is already busy, Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Om Namah, and comes a thought, that guy, blah, blah, blah. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Yep. It comes a negative thought and you cut it with the power of mantra and you make it positive. Yeah, it's like you turn it around. This is where the power of mantra comes. So I would say, don't worry where the thought originates. We don't have to go to any other world, casual world otherwise. But yes, we need to establish a higher state of consciousness. We need to be very aware, because if we are not in that state of consciousness, we cannot change what goes inside, what we allow to go inside. So again, that sentence I said at the beginning, if we don't consciously choose what the thought that is nourished, our subconscious, if we don't do it consciously, our subconscious will choose what kind of thought is nourished. And that's troubling if we are not clean in the subconscious, and that's most of us. So let us pray to keep a high state of consciousness so that we can choose the thoughts that are going to come in, wherever they originate, and then the thoughts that I'm going to allow to carry on. So let me now go back to what you were asking before. This pillar, what was the pillar? The hidden, how is it? Hollow? The infinite hollow pillar of light one sees in deep meditation rising from the top of the head. Yeah. So I talked about the merging of Shakti and Shiva a few times in the channel already. So we are this. We talked about power today, and that power resides in the Muladhara, where this is the Kundalini Shakti sleeping. So as this power is rising through the spine, you know that there is a drawing for this chakra. There is Shiva Lingam, yeah, which is kind of like a pillar, yeah, where the Kundalini is coiled around. When the Kundalini uncoils, wakes up, and rises to the crown, this is where the king, yeah, when you become a king, yeah, the crown is you are crowned. Crowned with what crown? With consciousness, yeah. When you put on the crown of consciousness, your Kundalini rises. Then you are meeting Shiva. Yeah, Shakti rises to Shiva. So in the first chakra we have Shiva Lingam. In the crown you are meeting with Shiva, and Shiva is this pillar of light. You can see it like that. So that's the moment that we call enlightenment. That's not liberation. Yeah, liberation is when you are free from your karma. So you have to go through this path many times, liberating your individual samskaras, yeah, the seeds in the samskaras, the individual karmas, and then, but that going up here, awakening your consciousness, crowning yourself with that consciousness, gathering your own strength, empowering yourself with the power of your Shakti, yeah, that is going to help to. That's enlightenment, yeah, and that's going to bring light, bring consciousness. That's going to help to purify to liberate yourself, and eventually descend and finish the alchemy. Then you get the gold medal. Yeah? then you can descend, come into the heart, and just shine from your heart. Yeah, the pillar of light in the top, that's the Shiva meeting you. In your heart, that's the light of your soul. That's where you can reside, and then you can just irradiate from here. That's the very end. There is another message. Can provide some new thing. Thank you very much, and until next time, Sanam.